What's crackin', and welcome back to Disney Dreamlight Valley. I'm cozyceto, and I'm so happy you're here for the second episode of Decoding Dreamsnaps Season 2. Today, we will be diving right on into a concept I think is so important to creating top-tier submissions, and that is framing and fine-tuning your snaps. This one will be broken into two parts, with the first half focusing on general framing tips, and the second detailing my process for fine-tuning my shots without spiraling out every time. What details matter, which can be brushed over, I am so excited to explore that and so much more here with you today. If you haven't already subscribed, smash that red button and let's get right on into it. How exactly you frame your dream snaps will always come down to personal preference. However, taking the time to consistently and cohesively pull together your shot will draw voters in and help you score even higher. I have used various framing techniques throughout my journey, so let's take a walk down memory lane and discuss 3 of my favorite styles that have helped me win 4K time and time again and can easily be recreated in your own snaps. The first framing technique I love to use helps showcase items and can erase any worries of empty space in your foreground. This is fairly easy and just requires a couple of tables or similar items to be placed towards the front of your shot. I find the best way to do this is to space your tables either 2 or 3 squares apart. The ones that I have out right now are spaced 3 squares apart, and then you want to just stand as close as you can to the middle of that space, ideally about a square behind the ends of those tables. Once you get that far, what you place is really up to you. In the Your Luck's Look challenge, I showed off some Arendelian pickled herrings and melting candles for the rank of 1,100. I was really struggling to find a good way to hide the open space in front of my fountains without cluttering the shot too much, and I found that this technique offered a nice happy medium, and I truly believe elevated my shot to win 4K. I did a different take on this skill and used multiple lower tables for the Dreamlight Diamond Showcase Challenge to score even higher and earn a rank of 549. I loved this variation because it allowed for some sneaky trapping of both Scrooge and Mickey while keeping the shot nice and clean and crisp. The next framing style that I want to share with you is perfect for snaps that need to feel a bit wild or natural. I love using trees and other foliage to frame up my shots and draw attention to the center of my photo. This is yet another technique that I have used variations of throughout my Dream Snaps journey, and this one has yet to fail me on bringing home 4K. This one is much more up to interpretation, so I will show you guys a few ways that I have taken this, and I challenge you to experiment and find your favorite floral framing that is unique to you. The first time that I really went all out with the floral framing was in the Sugary Style Challenge. I needed to find a way to really draw eyes into my candy fairy, and I wanted her to appear very small and secretive. I think that this framing style really helped to sell the story that I wanted to and tie together my snap to give the effect that I wanted. This ultimately scored rank 1081 and inspired me to continue trying other framing with Valley Flora. Then, months later, I elevated my skills and combined this framing with some additional special effects to create my submission for the Lost Forest. Earning rank 233, I feel that the glowing floral framing really sold the bit and told exactly the story I wanted it to. I went for a very symmetrical look in the framing of this snap, which I will talk about even more in a future episode because there is a ton to unpack with general symmetry in Dream Snaps as a whole. The last framing technique, and possibly the most versatile of all of the 3 that I want to go over, is utilizing statement decor to frame your shot. I'm talking pillars, arches, fountains, artistic choices, and more. There's really so many ways you can go here, but the important part is having these towards the edge of your photo to fill space and accentuate the best parts of your snap. This is definitely the technique that will require the most fine-tuning, but before you spiral, stay till the end and see my techniques for fine-tuning without over-tuning. Looking back to some more recent challenges, because I have been absolutely obsessed with this technique lately, I framed my New Year celebration submission with the gorgeous festive lights entry arch and used it to help draw eyes into the social gathering in the center of my photo. I think the lighting of this arch specifically helped bring the theme together and to spruce up my shot without adding too much with the intense fireworks in the background. This earned rank 1,461 overall and 4,000 moonstones. Then even more recently, I framed up my submission for Cupid's Runway using a couple of the gorgeous tiered fountains available right in Scrooge's shop in the main valley for anyone who has the main game. These fountains are amazing, and I think they look wonderful in snaps, especially as statement decor to add a dynamic moving element to the edges of your photo. This one placed 1,267, and I think the fountains were a huge selling point to win that rank. Overall, framing is such a personal choice, and no matter how you frame your shots, the most important thing is choosing a method that feels cohesive and complementary to the snap you build. There are so many beautifully detailed decor items to experiment with, and I can't wait to see how you frame your shots going forward. The next part of this episode is going to be an overview of how I fine-tune my shots without going overboard or spiraling out completely. This is definitely a work in progress as the call to chaos is imminent and I crave perfection. But I have learned over time that some details just simply don't really matter to the ultimate scoring of your shot, so if you are looking to save time and avoid the spiral, here are a few tips and tricks that can help you determine whether you need to keep tuning or whether it's time to be done. The one that I think has shocked me most is that trapping your characters visibly is not a taboo concept anymore. Once upon a time, I remember seeing submissions getting flamed for trapping characters in a way that was obvious and visible to voters. This seems to be a thing that is very much so of the past, so long as villagers are trapped in what I like to call an aesthetic fashion. This is going to be using foliage or on-theme items to trap them, such as how I did here in the Welcome to Toontown challenge, and did not hide whatsoever the fact that most of the residents were immobilized behind these tiny neon Mickey lamps. Voters did not care, and they still rewarded this with a rank of 1,337. Let this encourage you to practice trapping those characters, even if you don't feel up to the sneaky high-end tactics being pushed around social media. Just use some small on-theme items, have fun, and have at it. The next one is that shadows aren't nearly as scary as others have made them out to be, so don't worry about taking down your snap 500 times because the shadows aren't working the way you want them to. While it does always benefit to have your character visible and well lit, don't be afraid to take on unique angles and play with lighting in the shadows of your shots. I leaned into this concept for a spooky take on your favorite bag and earned a rank of 1,707 and 4,000 moonstones. I capitalized on the glow of different items such as the Skillamobile near my character and the magical firelight of the candles and jack-o'-lanterns placed around my shot. Now the stuff that really matters is your character's animations. You can really level up a photo and make it go from flat to flawless with a few strokes of movement from the NPCs sharing the spotlight. I think the best example of this was in my highest ranking snap ever, where I was lucky enough to get all 3 NPCs posed perfectly to create this Autumn's Magic submission. Earning rank 6, I will always attest this victory in a large part to the perfectly aligned animations of the characters. Then again, in another top 100 scoring snap, I showcased Stitch on the ukulele for his namesake Stitchable Fashion Challenge, and I believe that this adorable pose secured our spot in rank 34. These snaps are just a few of many testaments across the community that a well-animated character can really bring home a win. Alrighty, now if you're anything like me and you need a nice little list of boxes to fill to feel complete, I have developed a little bit of a checklist that can help you determine if your shot has a good chance of winning 4K. This is not guaranteed because voting does play into it, and there is no way to fully tell how the community will react to any specific photo. However, this is what I use to check every single one of my snaps to make sure that I am good to submit it. The acronym that I use to determine if my shot is a final product is TACOS. I know that sounds absurd and silly, but I swear it works, and this is what it stands for. T is for theme. Is the snap on theme, and are your tags not just met, but exceeded? Tags are a huge part of the theme, so it all plays in here. I like to hit at least 20 in mandatory and 20 in bonus based on my research around optimized scoring, so I think it is a safe bet to shoot for no matter what kind of challenge we're facing. A is for attention. Does your photo draw attention to the right spots with your lighting and special effects? You don't want to overdo it, so make sure you strategically place your pizzazz to get the most out of every single touch. C is for characters. People love to see familiar faces, and it helps add moving touches to still shots since there are so many amazing poses you can get with each one. Adding at least a single character is usually a great call. Most themes have at least one that will fit in very, very nicely without having to force it whatsoever. O is for original. You want to have your snap be something that fits the theme and generally isn't too crazy out of the box or off the wall, but you want to have it be something that does set itself apart against something that could be just as bright or just as on theme as the photo that you submit. S, and the final point here, is for story. Does your snap tell a story? It doesn't have to be anything crazy or complex, but I'm sure you've heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that holds so true here. The top scoring photos always have a little bit of a narrative element to them, so what will be your top 10 worthy tale? I hope that these tricks help y'all bring home a win as you continue on your Dream Snaps journey. That is all I have for you here today in our second episode of Decoding Dreamsnaps Season 2, and I hope you learned something new or maybe even refreshed your toolkit on some past forgotten skills. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss next week's episode and all our future Dreamlight Valley content here in the cavern. I'll see you tomorrow for another beautiful reset day and to see our results on the Going Green Challenge. Until then, toodles!